My name is Grace Baker, and I would like to thank you for the opportunity to apply for the freelance academic writing position. I strongly believe that my previous experience has prepared me for the job, and being an academic researcher is my dream career, so I do hope that you will consider me. To answer your questions, I define a credible source as essentially a trustworthy source, most commonly information from an expert in the subject matter or a primary source. While some sources are demonstrably not credible, I like to think of credibility as existing on a scale. The more positive factors a source has, the more credible it is. Some contributing factors to a source's credibility are whether or not the source is accurate, whether it is free from bias, whether it is supported or published by an academic institution, whether or not the author has authority or is an expert in the field, how recently the work was published, and whether or not the work is a primary source. It is important to note that some of these factors change depending on the context. For example, while one might consider information from a scientific article to be more credible if it was published in 2025 compared to 1925, we might also consider a witness statement written the same week as a crime occurred to be more credible than one written 15 years later. Moreover, while primary sources are generally perceived as more credible, a first-hand account of the Native Americans written by conquistadors, while may contain important information, would have had a clear bias that, say, a 20th century historian might not have. My approach to working on topics I am not an expert in is to do a good amount of background research, starting with general information and carefully researching deeper and deeper into the specifics. As a historian, I have internalized the importance of understanding not just the details of a particular event or concept, but that I can also situate that information within the larger context, whether that be other events, cultural concepts, academic understanding, or even popular opinion. I do like to have a fair amount of information under my belt before writing, especially if I'm particularly unfamiliar with the topic, but my research experience has made me very efficient in gleaning large amounts of information very quickly and synthesizing it with what I already know and communicating it in an effective way. In my opinion, the three main skills that a freelance writer must have are discipline, passion, and efficiency. Freelance writers work both remotely and independently. While this awards the writer a large degree of freedom, that freedom must be tempered with discipline. Freelance writers must have the motivation to dive headfirst into a variety of topics with the same devoted time and energy, while also maintaining some restraint in order to actually begin writing and meet deadlines. Without a regular 9 to 5 schedule or mandatory physical reporting, the success of a freelance writer depends on the discipline that they have for themselves. I also believe that passion is a key to freelance writing. Freelance writers must be ambitious in their research and enthusiastic in their writing. They must have a powerful inner drive and bring the same energy and interest to all of their projects, regardless of the topic. They must be passionate about a great many things, or at the very least be able to find some aspects of interest in any area, even when it is not usually the author's cup of tea. I strongly believe that an author's enthusiasm for their project can be seen by the reader and often translates into an audience developing enthusiasm for the topic as well, if not at least a newfound appreciation. Of course, the reader's enjoyment and interest are tantamount to a freelance writer's success. Moreover, I do believe that passion and discipline facilitate and strengthen one another. Passion makes it less difficult to work diligently and create structure on one's own, and discipline modulates ambition, allowing one to be satisfied with what one has accomplished and avoid the pitfalls of perfectionism in order to meet deadlines while still maintaining a satisfactory level of writing. Last but not least is efficiency. Efficiency can be applied in many aspects of the research and writing process, all of which are imperative for success. Research is a skill that requires writers to sift through enormous amounts of information and synthesize it to their audience clearly and effectively. A researcher has to be able to use their time wisely, especially when working on deadlines. Being able to skim an article or a primary source and quickly and accurately assess whether or not that particular source is relevant and needs to be read deeper at a later time is absolutely vital for success. Without efficiency in the research process, time is wasted that could have been used to widen or deepen one's understanding or later to refine the writing itself. Moreover, research requires efficiency in writing, both in terms of how quickly the writer can create a refined product and, sometimes more importantly, how effectively they can deliver information to their audience. The cardinal sin of writing is creating a sense of boredom in the reader. By lacking efficiency in their words, the author is either over-explaining to the point of repetition or moving so quickly that the reader cannot make the necessary connections and grows disassociated from the text. As such, efficiency in all of its forms, along with discipline and passion, are absolutely vital to succeed as a freelance writer. Thank you again for the opportunity to submit this video as part of my interview and application for the writing position. I really look forward to hearing back from you, and I hope that you'll consider me for the job. Thank you.